Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would all stand with me and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, once again, I would like to welcome you all here. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from last month's meeting. I think you were all sent those, so unless you saw any issues, I would entertain a motion and second to approve.
I'll make a motion for approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion on that? Andrew, would you call roll, please?
Motion on the floor to approve the minutes from the March 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting minutes. Planning Commission meeting. Dick?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Mayor? Yes. Tyson?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Bryan?
Yes.
Motion carried, minutes approved.
All right, item 2 is final plat approval for Welling Construction Autumn Chase Phase 4. Andrew?
This ought to be familiar to you guys since we had this last month. We are back with a final this month. The utility easements have been corrected. I would note here in this lot 58 in the southeast or southwest corner, this was shown as initially as a 5-foot utility easement. On the first email I sent you guys today, it was revised and we have a 10-foot easement here now. I think we're gonna end up correcting this. This is going to the 15-foot building setback line and it should stop at the 10-foot utility easement line here to match. So that's one correction we'll have to make on the final plat. I would like to note out that there is an easement on the south side of lot 51 for the pedestrian easement, or public easement for the sidewalk to go through to connect to Portland Street. That was noted at the last meeting. Other than that, I'll open this up for discussion. I will note out I did not receive any calls on this request, so.
Okay, is there anyone from the public that would have any questions or comments? If you do, please step up front. Fire Chief?
Again, I know that you've got a turnaround set for this, but we are a bottleneck in this entire subdivision, and the preliminary plot was for this to be connected to Ashley, giving us a secondary exit. I know this has been reduced in scope. I'm concerned that we're creating a big bottleneck because we've got one way in and one way out of the subdivision. And we've already had incidents at the front where we had a gas leak that shut that entire front down. This is just an ongoing issue we need to address in the future as we move forward with these plans, that we do not create these long subdivisions with the bottleneck in them. And we do need that secondary egress as soon as we can get it.
Right, it was noted in the preliminary plat that Phase 4 was this and Phase 5 was the actual next
Right.
phase. So we did separate that in the last meeting, just so you know, but,
Yeah, I was not here for the last.
Okay, gotcha.
And again, that's an ongoing issue that we've had, not just with this subdivision, but others, and we need to keep that in mind.
From here on out.
It's going because these, yeah.
right.
When is Phase 5 going to happen?
Well, we would like to say in a year or
I'd like to say
two.
in a year or two, too.
Well, with the housing shortage we have, hopefully, but yeah.
But we've done this over a number of years, and
Right.
the previous fire chief has the same concerns going into some of the subdivisions we're doing, and we need to watch this in the future.
Okay, thank you. The floor is yours, sir.
Mike Straley from Mountain Chase Homeowners Association. The only concern we really have is, one, I think there will be sidewalks in front of all the houses that are built,
Yes.
and the construction equipment during construction period. I know we just had that road paved.
Yeah,
We reflected on that last meeting.
right, so with this particular project, city council has passed legislation to assess the properties for the construction of this particular project here. So the city will be bidding the project. So we will direct the construction equipment to come off of Portland Street with a temporary access. Now granted, a few trucks might get through, something might happen, but it'll actually be a city-controlled project. So we should have control of that, and we will do the best we can to keep large trucks out of the subdivision.
Probably up by the green area.
I would think up towards the northern end, yeah, probably,
Okay.
yeah.
Very good.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or concerns?
Al, you're good, right?
Okay, any other from the city or utility office, any questions or comments? Okay, folks, we have no questions, no comments. What's your pleasure? I have no problem recommending approval, yeah.
Okay.
I will.
You're making a motion.
Are you making the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, I will second with thanks to Welling Construction for working through this process with us, and hopefully we see new homes in the near future.
Okay, any further discussion? Andrew, call roll, please.
Motion on the floor to approve the final plat for Autumn Chase Phase 4. Jack?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Tyson?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
All right, motion carried, final plat approved.
And this will go to city council in 2 weeks then, I believe, for their approval as well, correct, Andrew? I think that's the next step in the process.
Yes, I believe so.
Yep. Okay, next item on the agenda, item 3, conditional use approval for vehicle repair facility. Andrew, I'll turn that over to you again.
All right, this is located at 222 East Charles Street. Carlin Company has a prospective buyer that would like to open a vehicle repair garage at this location. This property is currently zoned MU, multi-use, and a vehicle repair garage requires a conditional use approval to operate in that district. Notices were sent out to a 250-foot radius. I did receive 2 calls. One was from Marcy Hummel at 301 East Charles, and one was from Casey Ledger at 217 East Charles. We will open the floor to them here in a little bit. As part of the conditional use for the vehicle repair garage, vehicle parking areas, vehicle storage areas, maneuvering lanes, and access ways to public streets shall be designed to cause no interference with the safe and convenient movement of vehicles and pedestrian traffic on and adjacent to the site. The second condition is outdoor storage areas shall comply with the outdoor storage requirements. Prospective buyer is looking forward to cleaning up the site if approved. There's 2 outbuildings and some miscellaneous other junk currently on the site. I don't know if anybody drove by it before the meeting. His proposed hours of operation would be from 8 to 5. He said any outdoor storage will be located the rear of the side of the building and will be screened, fenced in. As far as noise, it's going to be typical noise from vehicle repair garage. You know, occasionally there'll be equipment running. So this is a 1 to 2 man operation. This is not going to be a fleet of mechanics in there working turning over vehicles on a daily basis. So with it being a one-man operation, I see the vehicle turnover being very low at this site. So at this time, I will open it up. If any questions you have, Mr. Zimmerman is here from the Carlin Company, representing the prospective buyer. He can hopefully answer any questions you may have.
How long has the building been vacant? Any idea? And what was previous use?
Previous use for that building, I believe it was cut glass at one point. I believe there was a vehicle repair garage in there in the past. There
McGill
was
in there
a
with-
partee that sold Mac tools out of it.
Yeah.
I want to say in the early
Smith's.
2000s. And then Smith's Lawn Care has owned it recently, currently owns it, so.
So it's historically been commercial use generally, okay? And it was a repair garage once before.
Correct.
Okay, I guess, is there any questions or comments from anybody from the public? Please step up and state your name if that's okay.
Hi, I'm Marcy Hummel. I live at 301 Charles Street, and I very strongly object to this repair garage going in right across the street from me. It's a very quiet neighborhood. Okay, we've got trains, that's enough. But we don't need banging of, and noise from a car repair shop with their doors open and the noise, Plus, there are many children in the area, and they ride their bikes on the street, right across from where that's, on that street, and around like Cherry Street and around that block. And I worry for their safety. You can see their toys out in the yard, and I feel that would be a real hazard for these children, and there are many. And like I said, it's very quiet back there, there's very little traffic, and they do ride and play right there. And so I feel that would be very dangerous for these kids. Plus, I just put $60,000+ into remodeling my home. And having a repair garage right across the street from me is not going to help the value of my house.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from anyone in the public?
I would like to make a note on Marcy's recent comments. This is zoned MU, multi-use. Vehicle repair garage does require conditional use approval. Permitted uses in an MU district are several office. You can do office space, you can do retail, restaurant. That does not require conditional use.
Gas station too, I think we talked about.
Gas station that, in my opinion, would create way more traffic than this vehicle repair garage. I'm just throwing that out there.
The zoning code's kind of imbalanced here, that, yeah, a higher use such as a gas station, somebody could just walk right in and do without planning commission approval, other than a site plan review, which
Right.
it's just a review to make sure they conform to the regulations versus, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Well, what do we,
I would like to note out, Ms. Ledger, who contacted me and left a message, stated in her message she was against this going in there. I returned her phone call, but we have been unable to connect. So, Ms. Hummel, do you have, I know you've talked to her,
Right. She's very strongly against
it's
it.
the same?
Same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask, was there a lot of noise when Smith Brothers had their equipment there and were getting
No,
it?
because they kept it at the other end of the street. They kept it on Walnut Street at the corner right by the track.
Sure, so do
Yeah.
you know what they used
So
that
there was
building
no
for?
noise from them there, no.
Do you know what they were using that building for?
I have no idea, because they didn't use it very much.
Okay, what about Were you there when it was the other companies?
No, I moved there in 2005, November of 2005, so I really don't recall the other businesses.
Are those buildings, those garage doors, I mean, is this an air-conditioned building or no?
I think the doors face west, don't they?
That, I don't know.
North and west.
Yeah, the doors face to the west. There's just a pedestrian door on the north side.
So noise should be funneled westerly in theory. I guess the developer, is there any comments or questions or statements you would want to make on behalf of the client? I mean, not to put you on the spot, but,
You're fine.
okay.
TJ Zimmerman. I guess, looking, you have a factory that's, what, 2 blocks down the road that probably brings semis in and out. They can't be any worse than this. I know what his intent is here, is to only improve it, which would give it a facelift. Because if you look at there, where she was concerned about going west of, I think the lawn care service that's currently there, isn't the prettiest sight in the world, but I know this gentleman is here to improve it, make it look better. When you have some noise, we have a few cars coming, I'm sure you will, but I can't believe it's gonna bring any more traffic or any heavier equipment coming in and out than what the factory would bring down the street. I think it kind of goes with the flow of what that area is intended for. Sound-wise, yeah, you might have a wrench going every once in a while, taking tires on and off, but, I mean, that's kind of the location you're in, right? If you look across the streets to the south, that's pretty much what's in there. Your law factories, you'll have those other things sitting there, it kind of makes sense to me, but.
Did your client, like he or she, did they say how many vehicles a day? I mean, just a few? I mean, he didn't,
Imagine if you are a one-man operation like Steve St. John or somebody like that, if I compare it to that.
right?
How many can you possibly get in and out there in a day with 1 or 2 people working?
Yeah, if it's a brake
2 or 3
job,
Cars, you might have 2 or 3. I mean, right now, if you drive past there, for sure, someone would know, you have trailers, you have ugly sheds sitting there. If anything, this guy's gonna make it look better, and you'll probably be happier what it looks like down the road than it is currently. I mean, there's trailers sitting there right now, 2 or 3. There's 2 or 3 junk cars sitting out there currently. You guys drove by, I mean, it doesn't look great now, but it'll improve the area, in my opinion. But no, I mean, what, could you get through 4 or 5 cars in a day, maybe?
yeah, if you do a couple an hour in oil change, your brake job's 4 hours. I'm just thinking in my head here.
Yeah,
Okay,
correct, I agree with you.
okay.
Any questions or no?
No.
Any concerns besides the 2 ladies have concerns? But I mean, I know the gentleman trying to purchase it, and I do fully believe it'll actually look better than it currently does now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Marcy?
Yeah, I have just one more thing I want to say. Techmore is down at the east end of the street.
Mhm.
There's a semi, it goes they go very, very, so it goes by maybe once a month. That's it. There's very, very little traffic for that
Okay.
business.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's our thoughts?
So we're looking just to rezone it as
It's not a rezoning, this is a conditional use.
Additional.
Would allow this person to operate that business, this particular business.
Well, it's listed as commercial building on the auditor's site, correct?
And it's zoned for MU, which is commercial or residential. It's just, this particular use requires special approval. It's not a use variance that it's not allowed. This is a conditional use, which, as long as it meets the conditions,
Do you want me to read the conditions again?
yeah, I talked about pedestrian vehicular access and,
All right, condition 1, for vehicle repair garage. Vehicle parking areas, vehicle storage areas, maneuvering lanes, and access ways to public streets shall be designed to cause no interference with the safe and convenient movement of vehicles and pedestrian traffic on and adjacent to the site.
so that would be, in my opinion, would be, if you have semis going in and out of there, your semi isn't gonna have to swerve across the street and go through somebody else's yard to make a turn. This would be vehicular traffic that should be able to maneuver in and out of there. It's complete stone frontage there, so I think he would meet that criteria for vehicular egress.
Criteria 2, outdoor storage area shall comply with regulations above. Outdoor storage areas. Which there's several here, I'm gonna paraphrase. Outdoor storage areas, storage of goods, materials, products associated with the principal use. No storage of radioactive, toxic, or otherwise hazardous materials. Location shall be in the side or rear yard. Must be contiguous with the principal building. No outdoor storage shall be permitted to occupy or interfere with traffic circulation, required parking, public sidewalks, or pedestrian access. Clear asphalt, concrete, or free of dust for the surface. Signage shall comply with signs regulations. Screening, all aspects of outdoor operations, including outdoor storage of goods and materials, shall be enclosed with a solid wall or fence, including solid gates. Wall or fence shall have height tall enough to conceal all material therein from the view of the observer standing at grade level at the budding residential district line or public street. In no case shall the height of the fence be less than 6 feet. All outdoor storage areas shall be effectively screened from adjacent residential districts, public parking areas, and public streets. All material shall be stored in a fashion as to be accessible to firefighting equipment at all times. And bulk storage of sand, gravel, and other similar materials shall only be permitted when such material is effectively prevented from spreading.
So outdoor storage, that doesn't constitute a vehicle that he might be repairing that sits overnight.
No, this would be like if he was storing engines, tires, things of that nature.
Okay.
That was my main concern. If we compare this with Steve St. John's operation out there, if you go by there, there's a lot of tires stored outside, whether they're used tires, of course, and a number of vehicles and so forth. So any of that material would be behind the fencing, is that correct?
Except for the vehicles.
Except for vehicles.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a parts vehicle, then, like
Yeah.
scrap, then our code compliance can take care of that.
Okay.
Because I think Steve had a pickup there for a long time.
Yeah,
That code
yeah.
compliance did take care of on that as well. Okay, well, there's criteria. I believe I think he can meet those. But we have a couple of neighborhood complaints. So I guess, what's our pleasure?
We did this in a motion?
Yeah, a motion to either approve or deny.
I make a motion to approve.
Which, this is a recommendation to council, so.
Correct, it does go to council,
Okay.
yes. Okay, motion to recommend approval to council, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Andrew? And again, this goes to council, we're not the final decision here.
Right.
Okay, motion on the floor to recommend the approval to city council. Conditional use approval to city council. Rob?
Yes.
Tyson?
Yes.
Bryan?
Yes,
Dick?
Yes.
Jack?
Abstain.
Mayor?
Yes, but can I address Ms. Hummel?
sure.
When this is on the council agenda, Andy, will you let her and Ms. Ledger know when that will
Yeah.
be on? I think it's important to come, and the reason that I think all of us are hesitant today is because that building obviously looks like it's meant for something like a garage repair shop, but also like to give the neighborhood the ability to kind of talk about zoning within their neighborhood and what they will tolerate or not. So I think that's why we were all, if there was not neighborhood opposition, this would have been passed quickly and there would have been little discussion. And so I do want you to know we understand you and Ms. Ledyard's stance, and I'd like you to address council with that, but also understanding that we have to do things for growth in the community, business and otherwise, and so that's part of the struggle, because we have a vacant building that looks like it hasn't been cared for the last several years, but yes.
Why don't you do something about the other houses around it, or the vacant house next to me that is atrocious? Why
Do you
doesn't
wanna
the city
give-
do something about these other homes?
Is that one in bankruptcy?
No, it
Vacant
recently
homes now.
sold. I'm aware of it.
Last year, yeah.
I'm aware of it, and I am trying to get it addressed, Marcy.
A lot of times we are addressing, and it just is a very slow process for us.
Like I said, I have done a lot to upgrade my home,
Right.
and to have a trash heap sitting next to it is absolutely devastating.
Understand. And that too, if you ever have questions, anyone in the community about homes that maybe look like they need some tending to, please call the engineering department. We have an employee that is dedicated just to that, but the process sometimes can take a while. There's a court system to deal with and proper notification and those kind of things. So feel free to always call up to the engineering office to report those. Yes, Mr. Zimmerman?
I think if it helps make anybody feel better, I mean, his plan is to improve it. I mean, I can understand her concern looking across the street at that or other properties that are along through there. I would say yes, the Smiths, the people before didn't maintain it. It doesn't look very presentable. Even in the back section of this building, there's currently, probably unbeknownst to anybody in the city, a gentleman that does work on cars and do all that stuff. There kind of moonlights at it. So that's already going on. I mean, we could have probably sold this, let this guy just do his thing and nobody would have said anything, but if we wouldn't go through the correct steps. But I think in her concern, it's only going to look better than it does now, which I think will only help them. They'll be, yeah, will there be a little more traffic? I'm sure there will be. I'm sure that people aren't gonna go down there running 100 miles an hour for kids and the safety reasons. But in our town, I think there's a lot bigger concerns than this building here, to have a person that's willing to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into a building to improve it, to make it better for the neighborhood. I don't know why the city would reversely say no. I would rather have something that somebody's willing to spend their hard money at, improving it, like you did your home, and in turn,
You sold me my home.
I know I did. And in turn, having something that looks like an eyesore, like the house next to you that you're complaining about, that's, I think this would be a less of a concern than that, because the guy's willing to put money to make it look better, if that helps you in case you sleep at night. I think it'll look better than what
Okay,
you're looking at.
what about the value of our properties with this garage across from us?
Compared to what it is now, it'll only help it.
Really?
I'd rather have stuff like that than run-down buildings that I'm looking across the street from, yes.
And I have to say, like, a rundown building that's vacant is a lot worse on your property value, because there's all kinds of potential fire hazards, vagrancy. There's a lot of things you have to worry about more with a vacant building than something that's maintained, and I'm gonna go on an assumption that the potential purchaser is somewhat local and community-minded too, which I think is important. I understand your feelings, and I'm telling you that the reason that we all were slow to vote on this is because there is neighborhood opposition, but there's also an improvement that could be made to your neighborhood with the sale. Vacant buildings are very dangerous. I get fire, chief, you gonna agree with me? Anything can happen at 2 a.m.
Well, the one next to me is vacant.
Well,
Don't worry
and
about it.
Andy's working on that, so, yeah, we understand.
Okay, Andrew, is there any potentials for a meeting for next month right now?
Actually, I believe I'm gonna have 2 requests for next month.
Okay,
I will,
keep your calendars open in June.
May, you're skipping a
May,
month.
excuse me, May.
May 3rd.
Off a month.
so, yes, I will try to get those verified this week and let you guys know.
Okay, unless there's anything further, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Andrew?
Motion on the floor to adjourn. Dick?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Tyson? Yes. Rob?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes. right, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for showing up.